what you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
This podcast is sponsored by Jackson Creative, a custom communication agency located in downtown Hickory, specializing in online content creation. To learn more, visit thejacksoncreative.com. Jackson Creative, we tell your story.
Hello, Mesh listeners. Welcome to the newest edition of Street Circle Drive here on the Mesh.tv. I am your host of Street Circle Drive, Andrew Moose, with my co-host, Michael McNally. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
It's great to see you.
Is it?
No.
I knew you were lying right when that came out of your mouth, but I'll go for it.
Thanks, man.
I can't even lie and say it's good to see you, but it's great to be back. Let's say that.
Right. We're here back at the Mesh Studios here in beautiful downtown Hickory. And today we have with us Mr. Jeff Neuville, director of the CBCC Small Business Center. How are you, sir?
I'm very good. Happy to be here today.
Great, man. We're happy to have you. This is also going to be the Street Circle Drive Entrepreneur Exchange crossover episode extravaganza.
Well,
it might be
we have talked about a few of them, so
it might be a spectacle.
Yeah,
but Jeff also hosts the Entrepreneur Exchange podcast here on the Mesh.
I do. I enjoy it very much, and I'm very happy to join you. But I feel bad because when I was telling people I was going to be on your podcast, I was calling it Circle Street Drive. I feel bad about that.
Well, I'm sure there's one of those out there too.
You think so?
You're in Hickory. Nobody knows what all
Hickory. That's right.
Exactly.
So
yeah, it's very nomenclature for Hickory. That's, man, you can't get around that. When you hear Street Circle Drive, you're like, oh, Hickory. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I remember when I was moving here the first time. I can't remember if I said this, but I was, in 06 changing magazines. Right, you got to change your address and bills. And I called, and there were a couple. And instead, all right, bear with me. It's 2478. You in Hickory? Hey, yeah, I am in Hickory. How'd you know? Well, where are you, out in North Carolina? No, we're in Los Angeles, but we've gotten several of these crazy addresses, and so I guess we got to be well renowned for something, right?
So we do have a reputation.
We have a reputation.
It precedes us.
That's totally different from your reputation, Jeff. But yes, Hickory has a reputation, and it's our duty to make sure that it's.
What's the craziest address you've had in Hickory?
Well, the craziest one, I mean, none of them are outlandish beyond what even our title is.
I had Place and Avenue in one address.
Well, so I've had Avenue Circle Northeast, and then right now I'm on 9th Street Drive.
Okay.
So I've had only 2. I've seen 4 of the different names before, but my favorite is my old neighborhood, driving to it. And you know how, well, growing up, when I grew up in Raleigh, had normal street names. You'd say, before GPS, to get to my house, you take a left on Creedmoor, right on Strick. You kind of do that. Right. And so people still sometimes, what are the other streets? Like, what street do I turn on? And I don't know. No, I am good to know my street. I do not know the preceding streets and the turns. But I remember one time driving into the neighborhood, looking up at a street sign and reading it, and it said 23TH and then whatever, 23rd. Like, that's 23rd? Just, it is so crazy that our street sign people can't even, their minds just explode, and they can't even keep up with what the true wording should be on the signs.
One of my good buddies just moved back to Hickory from Philadelphia, and his older brother was a police officer in Hickory for a long time, and he broke it down for me of how the actual places and drives and circles and all that works, and I really couldn't regurgitate it back to you.
There's a write-up at the city of Hickory.
Yeah, it's something. If
it's like
you really
streets and avenues go east and west.
Right.
There's a method to the madness, but none of us can remember
how they get that.
True method for a downtown gridded. But then when they decided to, as Hickory grew, to allow that to grow with it, especially with 4 quadrants in the city where you can truly have duplicated, it gets bad.
Well, I've lived in 2 different houses on 10th Street Drive Northwest, but the road does not connect. It's like 2 roads in different parts of 2 different neighborhoods. You can't get there from here, but they were both 10th Street Drive Northwest.
Right.
And we've had that problem in our new house because 9th Street Drive It's right across from Lawson's Creek, and you can take that and wind into the back of Falling Creek. Well, they built our subdivision, kind of blew out a cul-de-sac and developed some acreage behind there. Well, 9th Street Drive ends in a cul-de-sac. Well, then if you turn on 37th, then take a left on 10th, well, they just decided we're going to start 9th Street Drive again. If you're looking at it on an aerial view, yeah, if you plowed through some forest and 3 or 4 houses, the street could have continued, so we'll just keep with that naming.
Man, this is some Hickory wonky conversation.
We've lost half our listenership.
We lost all 3 of them.
It was a good podcast.
Hootie, you still there? Hootie.
Is this thing on?
Hootie, you still there? Shout out to powerful Hootie over there. So, Jeff, tell us, how's the business climate in Hickory right now?
Well, I work with a lot of small businesses. I work with a lot of startups, and I guess this year has been the busiest that I've been since I've been in my position over at the community college as director of our small business center. We track the number of people that we meet with. We track the number of businesses that we work with that actually get started and jobs that get created and retained. So our fiscal year ends on June 30th, so we spend a lot of July going back and assessing what happened the previous year. And when I look at our numbers, which I sort of knew in my gut just because I've been pretty damn tired all year, it was our the busiest year I've had in the last 7 working at our small business center. So there's a lot of activity going on. There are certainly a lot of opportunities. I think those of us that live in the area, we recognize the fact that from a workforce perspective, the unemployment rate is somewhere between 3.5–4%, which is pretty darn tight. So a lot of the employers are out there struggling to find people to find positions. Business appears to be very good. People are hiring. It's there are jobs out there. We want to do more hiring out there. So people are looking for opportunity. Hickory is a good place to go right now.
Nice. So, what's some of the cool small businesses that you've seen come into Hickory pretty recently? I saw one called the Barracuda Tap Room. Did they come see you by chance?
No, but I guess I need to visit them.
Yeah, of course. Well, knowing you like the libations, Jeff. What's that?
The Bell Hollow.
Yeah, it's in Bell Hollow. Yeah,
I've heard some stories
evidently
about that starting up.
The Barracuda Tap Room. Evidently, if you're from Barracuda Tap Room, you can correct me if I'm wrong. It's a self-serve bar, and you bracelet by the ounce
measurements.
Yeah.
Yep.
So. Yeah,
I heard they didn't get all the permitting going in, so that's been a little bit of a slow up. Knowing some of the folks at the city or whatnot. But in my time at the chamber and the EDC, I'd always say this, permitting and zoning can be a tricky thing, but also a lot of it's laid out there beforehand. So you need to.
Yeah, it's a necessary evil too.
It's a necessary evil. So,
yeah.
I am very excited about. So it's in the old. Gosh, this is another Hickory way to describe things too.
Where something used to be.
Where something used to be, but then it was the thing before that. Right. So it's where the old Jersey Mike's was in the Bell Hollow shopping center. Yeah. So it's going to have like 50 taps. This came up in a conversation earlier today that I was having with some folks. That's why I know. So. Things like that are going to it's really cool when you, of course, in Hickory, we know and love Hickory, but when there are other things that you see that are like in other communities or places you visit, you're like, oh, that would be really cool here. And then you even think, well, could we support that enough to really maintain it as a year-long business? It's cool to see them actually coming here and getting started. But back to your question to Jeff, what are some of the you've been in the role, so the 7 years you mentioned, is that the role, you've been in that role for 7 years?
I've been director of the Small Business Center over at CVCC for 7 years now, and we work with folks who are starting businesses to help them get up and running. We work with existing small businesses to hopefully help them grow and add jobs to our community. Actually, the state of North Carolina provides a grant that puts a small business center at each community college within the state of North Carolina. So there are actually 58 of us that do this sort of work throughout the state. As far as things that I'm seeing, I work with a lot of folks who might be called solopreneurs, and that they're sort of one-person type businesses that hopefully grow into larger businesses. We're seeing a lot of folks interested in CBD that are out there. I actually have a friend that I've done some work with who opened his over the weekend. Actually, it's called Narante. It's right next to the DMV. He's fond of saying it's the CBD next to the DMV.
Gotcha.
As they were working on their space over there, they did have some folks wander over from the DMV that appeared a little bit stressed.
Right.
That could probably benefit from their product. So
absolutely.
That seems to be happening out there. We work with a lot of folks that are interested in doing retail in downtown Hickory, work with some that are doing retail in downtown Newton. Always encourage them to also consider some sort of e-commerce portion of their business, and that these days there are so many options for shopping out there that if you just put your sign out and hope people are going to wander into your store, it might work, but you want to improve your odds. Trying to open up the store to a wider community is a good way to go. So we encourage that as well. Some of the work that we do is we run into a lot of people that are very passionate about an idea, and we try to be the folks that keep their feet grounded in reality and without being dream killers. So that's the fine line that we try to walk, and that I suspect if Mark Zuckerberg had walked into my office 15 years ago and said, "Hey, I have this great idea that I'm calling Facebook. What do you think?" I would have looked at him like he was crazy, but it seemed like it worked out okay for him.
I think so.
He's doing all right.
He's doing all right.
And I'm sure you still get a bunch of people. I remember in previous roles, restaurants. I would always sit there and say, like, just because you make a mean meatloaf doesn't mean you need to open a restaurant. It's the highest, or at least it used to be. You'd know better on all the stats, but the highest fail rate for businesses, especially in the first couple of years, is probably the restaurant industry. We still get a lot of folks.
Yeah, we get not as many as you would think, but we still get a reasonable number of folks, and I suspect it still has the highest failure rate out there. And it's funny, I use that meatloaf example too, and just because your husband thinks that this is great meatloaf, he just might not want to. He might not.
He likes sleeping in the bed in the comforts of his own bedroom.
You might want to try it with some other people, and we call that customer discovery, of actually going out to potential customers and showing them your product, getting their feedback on your product. Are they willing to buy it? Are they willing to pay for it? How much will they pay for it? But going through the process of talking to real life customers is an important part of starting a business.
Yeah, so that kind of perfect segue, Jeff. It's like you had this, like right on the tip of my tongue. So if one were to say, "Hey, I've got this great idea, and I want to really explore this," like, can they just come to you? Like, wow, what, are you the consultant or the therapist? Everything, or explain your role.
We call ourselves business counselors as opposed to consultants, in that often consultants will do. I'm going to say do the work for you. Often we'll get paid to do the work for you, and we don't do the work for you. We will guide you through the process of doing the research, starting a business, but we're not going to be the person that writes the business plan for you. We'll help you. We'll give you feedback. I'll do some editing. And really something that we, to answer your initial question, yes, anyone in the community, if they're interested in starting a business, growing a business, we're open to the public. There's often some perception that we just work with college students, and that's incorrect. Probably 90% of the folks that we deal with are really people in the community. We deal with some students from the college, but that's really a minority of the folks that we deal with. So, and really we try to help them as quickly as we can, try to assess whether their idea is a viable idea. A lot of people get very excited watching Shark Tank and think that they're going to start a business and become a millionaire, and I hope they do, and that's great, but often they haven't started thinking about, well, there's some cost to going into business. There are expenses associated with starting a business, and part of my job is to help them get their arms around that and say, well, sales are nice, but profits are much better. So we want to make sure that you understand what you need from a financial return to make this worth your while, and is the business idea that you're considering, will it generate the sort of return to work for you.
So when folks come to you with their business plan, is brick and mortar still even in the conversation for the most part, or especially on the retail side?
For some people it is. I mean, we get more that are interested in e-commerce or creating their own online store. The primary services that we provide at our small business center, as do all the small business centers throughout the state, we will provide confidential business counseling. So if somebody has a business plan or wants to create a business plan, we'll assist them with that. Some people might be looking to connect to lending organizations. We are not one, but we know many of the local lending organizations and can help them prepare to sit down with them and hopefully put them in the best position to successfully secure a loan or funding that's out there. So we do business counseling. We also put on seminars and workshops throughout the year. In the next couple of weeks, we have programs going on selling your product on eBay, selling your product on Etsy, creating an online store. We have very specific workshops that help people walk through that process. We've got different ways to help them realize their dreams or realize that could be a nightmare. Maybe they want to do it.
But Jeff will help you flesh out the business plan, but he will not loan you money. That's what I just took from that.
Maybe you. But
all right. We'll talk.
We'll see.
Real quick, I know that one of the many benefits of not only having this tied to the community college, and we're fortunate to have CVCC right here in Hickory, but also there is a synergy and a partnership I know out in the community and things that you do. Explain a little bit about. There's the SBC, Small Business Centers, that are tied to the community college. Mm-hmm. Then here in this state, slightly different because we've got to be North Carolina, but the SBTDC, Small Business Technology Development Center, that's tied to the university. What are the similarities, differences between those two?
So the Small Business Center Network, of which I'm a part of, is affiliated with the community college system. Probably one of the biggest benefits of that is the fact that we are represented at 58 community colleges throughout the state, is that we have a very broad footprint in the state. We can reach out to folks in just about every county. The focus that the Small Business Center Network has really is on starting new businesses and working with small businesses, generally up to approximately 10 people. The SBTDC, or Small Business and Technology Development Center, is affiliated with the University of North Carolina university system and have regional offices that are associated with the colleges within the university system. Their focus is really on more growth-type businesses, 10 people and higher that are going into a higher growth stage. Sometimes they'll work with startup businesses. Sometimes I might work with some businesses that are more than 10 people or growing. I think that sometimes there is a connection between a business counselor and the people that they're working with, and if somebody clicks with me and they start growing and want to keep working with me, that's great. But the SBTDC does have some specialists in areas such as government contracting, marketing, research that we often will partner with, and we do a lot of collaborating with the SBTDC. Once a year, we'll have a professional development meeting that includes both of our organizations, where we'll get together, share notes, go through some professional development training, and it's something that really is beneficial to our state, and that there are more resources out there to start businesses and help businesses grow than I think in many other states.
Absolutely.
So, Jeff, tell us some of your success stories. That's hard to say, that you've had come through your organization that maybe you've had a hand in.
We actually try to track. We go out and survey folks and try to track their progress, and for some of the folks that I've worked closely with, we've got some pictures that we stick up on our small business center wall or in our office, just to sort of show off the variety of businesses that have started in the community. Most recently, this weekend I was with my CBD friend. A couple weeks ago, I was working with a group in Catawba called Studio 73 that does art classes and also sells her own art out there. Recently worked with a mobile car washing guy who started his own business where he'll come to your facility, wash your car. He's working with several local businesses where he'll go in for an afternoon, and for $20 he will wash and detail your car, and working with several local businesses to do that. I've worked with anyone from massage therapists to, we're getting a lot of, Michael, you're talking about restaurants. We're getting more food trucks and mobile food businesses that we're working with. We've got a coffee truck that we work with, Cade's Coffee Truck. We work with a Hickory Sandwich Shop, which does a pretty mean barbecue. I don't know if you guys have visited that one yet.
No, we need to put that on the list. Is that on Geithner Road right there? Is that where that is?
And he's got a truck as well where he comes out and does some work.
Can you go inside there and eat?
You can, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go in there and eat. I think he does breakfast and lunch, no dinner. So, and he's got some good stuff there.
Cool. Put that on the list.
But we're working with a mobile food truck right now called Gas Up, where they're actually going to be. Our college is going to be letting food trucks come on campus starting this fall. So he's going to be one of the folks that's going to be coming on campus. So a little bit of everything. We work with some of the folks in our manufacturing solution center. I know we've got some folks that are doing compression products over there. U-compression. We've got Inova Knits, which does a variety of different knit products over there. So we also partner with our manufacturing solution center and some of their clients and provide assistance to them as well. Awesome. So it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah, a little bit of everything, toe in the water and everything. So if you had to say, you could just say one thing, and the biggest mistake that anyone has when starting a business is what?
I think the biggest mistake is they fall in love with their product or their service, and they really don't take the time to go out there and make sure that there are enough customers out there to support their business.
Gotcha.
I think really that process of customer discovery and making sure that they've got a product or service that is sellable to enough customers out there is the biggest mistake. And and as I think you and I'm sure many of our wise listeners recognize, we have a wonderful community here, but it's not the largest community in the state of North Carolina. So if you're opening up a brick and mortar operation, are you going to get enough customers? Do you need to be supplementing it with online retail? How do you make your business stand aside to get enough traffic to make your business successful? So making sure there's a solid customer base. I think
there's always the part that I would sit there and realize that people know their product or their service, or they know business, and it's the very, very few limited sample of people that really know both, especially right off the bat. Not that the School of Hard Knocks doesn't learn you one versus the other depending on what your strength is, but it's always interesting that, and also people that I remember hearing stories of, well, I'm tired of having a boss or having somebody to answer to, report to, and
that's right.
Like when you go from trading in one boss to now thousands of bosses. That's a different animal all in itself.
And one of the benefits of someone else being your boss, when you go home from work, you hopefully can turn it off a little bit and get a good night's sleep. If you're your own boss and you might be tossing and turning at night, wondering if you'll be able to make payroll or pay your bills or what sort of challenge is coming next. So it's. Starting a business sounds glamorous. It looks great on Shark Tank, but it brings a lot of responsibilities. Can be very consuming. So it isn't for everybody, and that's okay. You sort of want to recognize that before you go too far down the road.
You talked about a couple of times now. We've mentioned this wonderful community that we love and support, both Hickory and then kind of that greater Hickory area. What are some of the things in our area that, whether that's the infrastructure, the people, the systems in place, what are some of the strong suits that really lend this community to be good for anyone, like people starting a business?
It's a very collaborative community, between what our Small Business Center network can offer, the SBTDC, the Engineering Technology Center that, Michael, you're at, the Manufacturing Solutions Center, our Chamber of Commerce. people really work together to provide assistance to folks that are starting businesses. The Chamber for the last 8 years has sponsored something called the Edison Business Plan Competition that's open to individuals from this Catawba County and the surrounding counties to enter and have an opportunity to develop their business plan with prizes up to $10,000 going to the top winner in that plan. So there are a lot of activities, events that are going on. Actually, tomorrow, which in podcast land, we're the first week of August, I guess. We have a.
These things will go out tomorrow or Thursday. We can be pretty soon.
Okay. Well, we have a co-working space that will be opening here in Hickory called the HubSpot. So, just a lot of resources that are out there. Not so different than some things that are available in some of the larger cities, but for a city of our size, some pretty outstanding resources available.
We asked this question to many of our guests who come on. Jeff, if you could wave a magic wand to change something about your job or the business climate in Hickory or your organization, what would it be if you could change one thing to make it more successful without having to do anything except wave your wand? What is it?
Yeah, we talked about what I think the biggest challenge to hurdle for businesses is making sure they have an established customer base. I think capital, having a magic wand to create that magical money bucket where people come into a small business center and are looking for money, for funding. People often are under the impression that there are grants that are available for businesses out there, and there are some, but there are few and far between. So, I'm not sure this is an issue that is unique to our area, but just from a business formation perspective, having the proper funding and capital formation to support new businesses, that's a challenge.
Right.
There are some avenues out there, but there can always be more.
Gotcha. So, and we mentioned before that the CBCC Small Business Center doesn't necessarily will loan you money, but they will send you in the direction of the preferred lenders that they have available to them.
I thought we were pretty clear that we won't loan you money, okay? Except for you. But that's better.
Got it. For sure.
You hit what I was going to sit there and say. And when you talk about even the lending and the money, is that, there are the traditional means, which people are aware of, even though they might not know all the details, especially when it comes to a business side. Are we missing things or opportunities out there? Because I know that this has been brought up all over, but whether that's an angel network or some sort of micro lending opportunities and things like that. What are those lending opportunities, and how would you best get those started?
Well, I think there are some angel investors that are in our community. We're actually working now to create what we're calling a founders networking group where entrepreneurs that have started businesses and people interested in supporting their efforts are getting together once a month, the first Wednesday of each month. And the first Wednesday of August, we'll be meeting in our new HubSpot co-working space, just to do networking and help facilitate those connections. So, some of that's going on. A person that I have a great deal of respect for, Ron Elmore, who I know that you do some work with, really to me is probably one of the most intelligent people when it comes to funding new businesses. And he's very fond of saying that money will find good ideas. So I don't think it's necessary that we actually have a angel investment group in Hickory. I think that we need to make sure that we're providing exposure to good business ideas here in Hickory to other potential investors, whether they be in Hickory, whether they be in Charlotte, whether they be in Asheville, wherever they might be. I don't think most of those people are concerned about necessarily where the investment comes. They're more concerned about making sure that it's a good business idea. Something that we haven't talked much about is crowdfunding, and that creates some opportunities for funding that haven't been there before, where if you've got a good business idea, I sort of equate it to more of the public radio type version of funding, where there are platforms out there that allow you to put a good business idea out there. If people have an interest in it, they might provide funding, and if you achieve a certain funding goal, that's money that you'll come in and help your business get off the ground. Some businesses might generate tens of thousands of dollars doing that. Some might generate a few $1,000s doing that. But and it's not as easy as just going out, clicking a few things, and automatically money starts coming in. It's really more of a campaign that has to be planned and given some real thought to. But that's another option out there that is assisting a lot of entrepreneurs these days as well.
Great. We appreciate you coming on, Jeff. This is really good information, and I hope some of our listeners, if they're interested in starting a brand new business, they seek you out. And where can they find you if they are looking?
It's Hickory. I'd give you an address, but just go to the old.
It's right across the street from the Lowe's on 70.
I tell people it's 2664 Highway 70, and they look at me strangely. And when I say CVCC's Corporate Development Center, they look at me strangely. And if I say we're in the old Ryan Steakhouse, I know where that is.
Almost across the street from the axe throwing place that we visited.
We know the axe throwing place very well, don't we, McNally?
Part of your DNA, I'm sure, is still there.
Part of my lip is still at the axe throwing place.
Fabulous place, though. Don't worry.
It is. It is very safe
for most people, except for Moose.
I'm the only person who's ever gotten hurt there.
He will find an injury loophole anywhere.
They make you sign a waiver for a reason. Yeah. So, also, what the website is.
It's sort of a Hickory sort of thing that if you. CVCC's website is www.cvcc.edu, and you could wander through that for about a half hour, and you might find my Small Business Center page, or you could just type into your browser. Don't even bother with the www. Just type in SBC for Small Business Center.cvcc.edu, and you'll get right to our website.
Hello, this is Chris from the Foot Candle Film Podcast. Are you interested in promoting your business to an online audience? Your ad could be right here. Consider advertising on the Mesh Podcast Network. Head over to themesh.tv for details.
Awesome. Jeff, thanks again for coming. We appreciate it. Make sure you check out Entrepreneur Exchange Podcast right here on the Mesh. And that's going to lead us into our event segment.
You, buddy. You're the events guy.
I am the events guy.
I think Jeff might even have some events that he's going to share with us as well.
I know you mentioned something earlier. Would you like to replug that event that you were mentioning earlier?
Well, on Wednesday, August 3rd, we're going to be having a founders meeting at the HubSpot in downtown Hickory. So, but if you go to the Chamber of Commerce, you can see upcoming events for the founders group. It'll be every Wednesday, first Wednesday of every month.
Awesome. Well, also coming up in downtown Hickory. So guys, the construction's supposed to be done by end of August. What do y'all think?
What they say.
What do you think?
If I was a betting man, I would.
You want to take the over?
I would take the over.
You're going to take the over on that?
I'll take the over by about 5 weeks.
Is that the lead pipe lock of the week right there? Is that it's going to go over?
Over, yes, but not 5 weeks.
You think? Okay. Here's
my guess is 5 weeks over.
Here's a new game we're going to play.
It'll be ready for Oktoberfest.
Okay, so the events that I'm getting ready to mention are supposed to be held at the Sales downtown Hickory every Friday night. It's the Sales Original Music Series. Powerful Bob Sinclair, been on the front of the podcast, puts that on. What do you think? Not going to happen?
I think that they will happen,
but not there.
I don't think they'll happen under the Sales.
So be looking for the Sales Music Series either on top of the parking deck.
I'd love to
or at the station parking lot. Yeah, me too. Hey. They're working day and night out there.
Yeah. I have 3 daughters. I'm proven wrong all the time. This would just be added to the list. But
right on. No, so you also
we're going to have the music. The music will happen in downtown Hickory. Yes. I promise you, and it'll be great.
The music never stops.
The Hard Hat series was great.
It was great.
We've done a good job of maneuvering things to accommodate for the construction.
We have,
and the construction is going to be a positive.
Right.
We just have growing pains.
Listen, Dana and Sarah have done a great job. Also, friends of the podcast. Yep. Done a great job marketing downtown Hickory. Downtown Hickory Development Association has also done a great job getting the word out that, hey, Downtown Hickory is open for business. Open for business. So if you're listening to this, go downtown Hickory. It's awesome. Went to this is not our food segment, but went to Notions downtown, which is the new it's casual, finely casual place downtown. It's great. Small plates, awesome bar. Go check it out. You mentioned Oktoberfest. Oktoberfest is coming up October 11th through the 13th. Food, music, kids zone, juried arts and crafts, all that good stuff. Funnel cakes for days, chicken on stick.
And that coincides with your beloved Bears. Don't they have homecoming usually?
Oh, it's the week before.
Oh, they mixed it up on
mixed it up.
Is this a new thing or has this happened before?
It depends.
Okay.
I don't think they did it on purpose. I just think it's wherever
trying to keep the LR riffraff away from Oktoberfest, aren't they? Or vice versa?
It's vice versa, I think.
Oh, okay.
So LR's it just depends on how LR's football schedule falls, and I think it just fell. The first time game in October was that on the 5th, so that's it. And then Oktoberfest is the next weekend.
And you'll have new bleachers to sit in this year.
Oh man, yeah, we are. Hey, thank goodness that they figured that out. So those not privy to this information, the home stands at the LR football stadium are no longer. They touched that thing with a backhoe and it fell under. They had quote unquote integrity issues with that thing. So better than finding out
during a game.
Yeah. Than during a game. Correct.
Well, this probably took place here recently when all the success, you actually have a lot of stuff to cheer for recently.
It is partly my fault. It is partly my fault for being so rowdy in those stands for the last 20-some years or whatever.
Exactly.
So they haven't sent me an invoice yet. So I'm just looking for that. But they've partnered with I believe the group that does the bleachers for golf tournaments. Mm-hmm. So they're going to, put up those huge stands and the atmosphere will be there. The bricks won't be there, but.
Well, the bricks will be there. They kept the back bricks. It's still between the bricks.
Yeah, I haven't even seen it. I haven't even seen it.
I just saw pictures.
Okay.
So they can still tout between the bricks.
Okay.
Now, the interesting thing is going to be, when that season ends, they're going to have, and it'll end right before it starts getting cold, they're going to have to move it.
Hopefully it'll end in the middle of December when the national championship game.
True.
We're just going to talk. LR Bears.
Then they're going to have to really move it to get that done for next September.
Oh, yeah. They're going to be moving. Yeah, for sure. The LR Bears.
You're going to have to up your Bears Club membership, Moose.
They just finally got me. They finally got me.
I'm sure if you're an alumni.
I was walking in the door here and I got a call from Bob Fincher, who's the president of the Bears Club this year.
Yeah.
I'm not an alum or anything. Bob Fincher. The power, please don't get him started. His head's already big enough. He doesn't need any help. So I got the call, didn't answer because I'm about to, I'm professional. Yeah, I'm about to start a podcast.
At what?
At acting professional.
Okay.
So then he sends a text, hey, give me a call when you can. I need to talk to you about Bears Club. And you're like, man, we need to get that extra money coming in for building these bleachers.
Yeah,
but
I think
I'll help out.
Moose, I think you will be getting that invoice in the mail from the alumni people.
That's true. That's true. And which segues me to the next one, LR Fall Athletics. They're in full swing. Go to lrbears.com for all sports schedules. The Foot Candle Film Festival coming up September 27th through the 29th at the Salt Block. All the films that they're showing have been announced, and you can find out all the details for that, buying tickets and all that good stuff at footcandlefilmfestival.com. Also check out Foot Candle Films podcast here on the Mesh. It's close to saying that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, you can
continue.
Yeah, thank you. You can check out Foot Candle Films podcast here on the Mesh.tv. Bring this up again, which I think is super cool. Tracy Hall talked about it when she was on the podcast a couple weeks ago. The Hickory Bottle Bot battles. I picked all the hard things to say today.
Moose, let's be honest. Most things are hard for you to say. Let's not just be honest.
How dare you? How dare you, McNally? Okay, the Hickory Battle Bots are coming August 16th through the 17th at the Catawba Science Center. And then the following weekend, they've got the Laser Light Show featuring Queen.
I was shocked when she said, and I was reading about, that we have the third or fourth largest BattleBot competition in the country.
I know.
And not that it's not like it's on ESPN or anything, but you hear, you know they have the show, so you would sit there and think these large cities are going to have the biggest ones.
I think it's ESPN 8.
The Ocho. It's coming back soon, y'all. You have 24 hours coverage of cornhole coming up.
Yeah.
Dodgeball.
Some of our local universities have represented in the college cornhole.
I bet they have. State, I'm sure.
NC State was the one I saw them on TV the other day.
I'm also pleased to report that CVCC now has a fishing team.
Congratulations.
Hired a professional angler to come in.
So, it's happening.
Yep. It is. It's all happening.
When beer pong makes its rounds, watch out for the Pirates, folks. Professionals.
Yeah, they are. Oh, yeah. Anything that, well, I don't need to say. Everybody knows what I'm going to say next. So this also will segue into our lunch spot review. McNally, that is yours. You know that's your spot.
Yeah, I do. I am always heading up the food review. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but again, here for the people.
That's right.
So today we went and ventured to, many people are familiar with Market on Main, and then you've got John Duke, and so his empire, let's just go ahead and say, so you got Duke's. Well, many people are not aware of the Warehouse Cuban Market that is on, what street is this? First Street.
Avenue.
First Avenue.
Are you prepared for this?
I'm prepared with what street I live on. The rest of y'all, I am not prepared for this.
First Avenue Southwest.
So the main entrance to their...
Right up the street from Mesh Studios.
Right up the street from Mesh Studios, down the street from the ABC store.
Adjacent to
next
door.
That's right.
It is next door.
It is right next door, across from Catawba Valley Builders, and right before you get to Heart and Soul, the old POB.
Right.
So went there today. We ended up hitting it on, they always do, this is the one thing I've noticed, so they are open Monday through Friday, 11 to 3 p.m. for lunches. And every day they have a buffet. So I've been there a couple times now. So today, which I didn't know, living upon everybody else's awareness of Taco Tuesday. So today was Taco Tuesday buffet day. And so that's what you and I both ended up getting.
Yes.
So their buffets are small, and I mean small as far as the sheer size of the buffet.
It's not Golden Corral
you're not
there.
going. Yeah, exactly. You're not lining up 100 people to go meal out, but they had 2 different soups. So a shrimp soup, and then we were trying to think the other one.
It was some chicken soup, I think.
It was some chicken noodle, something along those lines.
Yeah, I just remembered. I was like, "Ooh, I could have that."
Then we had 3 variations for the tacos or meat. So it was pork, chicken, steak, and all of it had their own servings with peppers, onions, and the like. Mm. Then they had the fixings bar it was the basics: cheese, sour cream, onions, cilantro, guac, and some salsa. So we both went and got that, tried the shrimp soup, which I was impressed. I was skimming through it because we've all been to those places to get some soup, and you skim through it.
Yeah.
And it's like,
how long has this been here?
Yeah.
Right.
How long has this been here? And were there really shrimp in here?
Right.
Or, what are these shrimp? They cut them into little pieces. No, these were legit, full, medium size.
They're baby shrimp.
Yeah. It was good. And there's plenty of it in there. And then I tried the pork and the steak. Very much a homemade feel, to it. Like it was good. It was exactly hit the spot. The price was fabulous. The price was $7 or $8. $7.50. So enjoyed that. The one thing that, as more people become aware of this restaurant, is what I've kind of noticed the other time. And when we'll go through some of their other menu options, because I ate off the menu the first time I went. There's not enough of the buffet. There's not enough people necessarily for enough of a turnover, in my thought.
Yeah.
Because you kind of you don't want where there's a line of 100 people, and some folks will say, buffets, you got to watch out. But you got to have enough of a turnover to where it doesn't sit out there for so long. It's this delicate balance. And the pork was definitely dry because it'd been
it's hard.
Sitting out there too long, still staying warm. The steak and the chicken appeared there was not that problem. So that's one of my nitpicks for this is, and I noticed that before time, even though I didn't eat off the buffet, I was like, you can't tell, has it been sitting there too long? Is there enough people to really get that turn without being overwhelming of having a buffet.
And when we say buffet, we think of the typical Western steer type buffet where it's in warmers and everything.
Yeah, they're bringing in the silver choppers and they just throw it into
and it really wasn't like that. It's not like that. There's
these these were like cast iron.
Yeah, cast iron griddles.
Yeah, they were huge, significant size.
With the peppers and onions mixed in with the meats.
On there.
Yeah.
There was no they switch it out. They're switching out the whole thing,
right,
for a fresh new. They're not scraping out of a barrel to throw back into something else. So I'll give them credit for that. Beforehand, before you get going. So menu wise, you can pull up their menu, mark it on Main, Hickory.com. And it shows, again, the John Duke Empire, so different restaurants. And you can click on Warehouse Cuban Factory. Oh, no, Warehouse.
You're close, I think. Warehouse Cuban Cantina.
I need to stop hanging out with you so I can continue to maintain.
You can't talk either. See, it's not fun when friends make fun of you.
More than 30 minutes.
It's not fun when friends make fun of you.
My mastery of the English language has just escaped me. Good gracious, you are the company you keep. So they have soups, black bean, grandma's chicken. That had to be the one that was there today. Soup of the day, which was the shrimp. So they've got salads, pressed sandwiches. What I had before was I know
you had a Cuban?
I had a Cuban. This is going to be earth-shattering news. I've gotten at a regular restaurant, so when I actually go to a Cuban restaurant, had to stick to the usual.
Right.
And it was awesome. That's probably my favorite Cuban sandwich I've had here, which is fitting because it is a Cuban restaurant. So if they couldn't hit that note,
honestly,
we would have problems.
It's in the name. They got to get it right.
Yeah, I would think so.
Right.
So all sorts of prime rib sandwich, Havana Club sandwich. They have sides, desserts. It's not an expansive menu, but you go to a place like this, you want to hit the high notes, and I think they do that well. But
I do too.
What was your experience like?
My experience was great. Yeah, I walk in. They've redone that side, that little area. If you've ever walked in there, it's on the bottom level there on Market on Main. And if you've ever been to an event, wedding, rehearsal dinner, or whatever, it's on like the far side. It's not on the stage side. It's on the other side, closer to the street. And the decor's awesome. Like it's very Cuban. Decor.
Clean, nice,
very clean. The service was great. The lady that waited on us was super nice, very accommodating. The food was good. They had flour tortillas. Only one choice of tortillas there. I don't get down on a lot of meat, but I did have the chicken. It was good. It tasted very homemade.
And by that,
it tastes like your wife or mom cooked it, which is perfect.
Nice,
my wife and mom
plain.
Right.
I mean, there was not like this was seasoned, marinated, over the top. It was relatively plain, but it was still good.
I mean, it was good.
Right.
It was good, they didn't nothing was over seasoned because you had all the sides to go on it. I thought the sides were really good. I saw the Cuban press there. It looked clean. When something over the Cuban press looks clean, that's a pretty good sign. Yeah. They've got it. They've got it figured out. So, but yeah, I overall enjoyed my experience there. It was full. The place was real busy, which was good to see.
Yep.
It's pretty new to downtown Hickory.
I was going to say I heard about this in the spring, but it was almost like when I heard about it. It was truly a word of mouth. Somebody directed me to the Facebook page.
Right.
There wasn't the signage on the door or anything else. So when I walked in the first time, I didn't even feel like I was going to someplace that was going to be serving food. So it really went through that soft opening, and now I do feel like this summer they're kind of really coming into their own.
Yeah, they're starting to figure it out, which is great. I've been to other events and things like that at that space, and he does a really good job out there.
And I was just going to say I didn't get to go to lunch with you guys.
Yeah, sorry,
and I wasn't sure where you were going.
He was too cool to come to lunch with those
guys. I've been to that space because my wife every year at Hickory Hops arranges for a group of us to go and have dinner there after Hickory Hops. And I don't remember what the hell I had. Because I really enjoyed Hickory Hops. I can speak to that.
Also, segueing back to the events, put on your schedule Hickory Hops next April 2020. It'll be downtown Hickory. It'll be great. What kind of a number are you looking at today?
Today I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
Just because, like I said, there was nothing about it that stood out as far as a taco would count.
Right.
It was good. You know, the one complaint, if I was one in quotes, would be the pork being dried.
Right.
But overall, being there for that Cuban and other things, then I'm kind of getting more towards that 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of those places, go there a couple times, try different things. Of course, I say that. Next time I go, I'll probably get a Cuban sandwich.
Of course. I'm really surprised you didn't get one today.
I thought about it, but then, I'm a man of the people. I wanted to give a variety of things to talk about.
Have you ever thought that those people are looking to you for the Cuban review?
Well, go get the Cuban. It is delicious. If you're picking a place here to go.
He is a man of the people, and he has spoken. So the people, go get that Cuban.
Having those two, I go 7.5 overall for the Warehouse Cuban Cantina.
The Warehouse Cuban Cantina. That's the official name.
That's what I'm giving it from their website.
Awesome. I really enjoyed it. I didn't think I was going to when I walked in. For some reason, I had a weird vibe, I changed my mind as soon as I started eating. Of course, I usually stay away from buffets. Full disclosure, stay away from everything except Village Inn, really, because I grew up on that stuff. But the Golden Corral, stuff like that. Like, I'm just not. I just don't. Even if I'm at events, like at a country club or something, and they got a buffet, it's still it's still kind of weird because I don't know where other people's hands have been, But that being said, I'm on the team where if it's a smaller buffet and you can tell it's fresh and being brought out and it hadn't been, you could tell nothing's been sitting there longer than 10 minutes.
And they don't have troughs of it in the back.
Yeah, they don't. They're making it on request. I think it's well done. It's well done. The decor is well done. The service was great. I'm giving it a solid 5.9 out of 7.
That is solid for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Do the math on that.
Yeah, do the math real quick. What is that?
That's a solid 84. Wow.
Yeah, right. So it's up there. It's one of the better food places I personally have eaten. So Jeff, if you can remember back your dinner back in April, what do you I
think the fried chicken was great, man. It was hearty post Hickory Hot food.
It was a 10. It was a 10.
You were satisfied. That's the part you probably remember.
The troughs were fine with us, so it was all good.
Gotcha. Well, we want to thank Jeff Neuville for coming today. Thanks again, Jeff.
Well, it's my pleasure. I appreciate you guys having me.
For sure. Check his podcast out, Entrepreneur Exchange, here on The Mesh. McNally, pleasure as always.
As always, Moose. I'm going to go work on my English now that I've been hanging out with you for too long.
Well, you need to practice. Roll your R's and all.
Please tell me more about this. Yes. Those who can do teach, right?
Yeah, you got it. So check out all of our other podcasts on themesh.tv and all your favorite podcast platforms: Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio. We're on all of them. Also on YouTube. Check that out as well. Please go and subscribe to our podcast by going to themesh.tv. My name is Andrew Moose. Thank you again for listening to Street Circle Drive. McNally.
Love where you live.
Goodbye, boys.
You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.